He had been dropped into a novel cast as the ultimate doormat to his fiancée, the Ice Queen Isolde Vane. Just as he was getting ready to play his part and make a graceful, scripted exit from a story, he realized the so-called villainess of this tale could hear every single one of his thoughts. Suddenly, things got a lot more interesting. On the outside, he was the perfect fawning sycophant. On the inside, he was a one-man demolition crew. Call him the year's best actor in a leading role. In the original story, he was a lost cause, a simp of the highest order, hopelessly devoted to Isolde. She was supposed to use him as a stepping stone to help the novel's true hero, Dominic Kane, before casting him aside. His fate was to end up broke, alone, and dead. As for Isolde, she was destined to lose her corporate war and end up with nothing. Dominic was the self-righteous hypocrite poised to climb over their ruined lives to the top. His plan was simple. Play the part of the devoted fiancé long enough to get to the chapter where she breaks off the engagement, collect his golden parachute from his family, disappear, and live out his days in quiet luxury. But with his fiancée listening in on his mental commentary, the look in her eyes started to change. Not only did she derail the plot, she started playing along with his internal script, turning the novel's hero into her personal plaything. The entire story went completely off the rails. His name is Liam Archer, and when he woke up one morning, the world had changed. He was in a book, a trashy, predictable bestseller called Tyrant of the Spire, and he'd been cast as the pathetic side character who shared his name. Right now, he was sitting in Celeste, a ridiculously expensive Michelin-starred restaurant in Manhattan. Across from him sat his fiancée, Isolde Vane. In the book, she was the primary antagonist, a ruthless and brilliant businesswoman, the ice queen of the exchange. But the moment the novel's hero showed up, her IQ was scripted to plummet, leading to her eventual downfall, betrayed by everyone and her company in ruins. He was her universally despised fiancé, a spoiled trust fund kid with no redeeming qualities besides a fat bank account. His purpose in the story was to worship the ground she walked on, only to be crushed underfoot by her and the hero. His grand finale involved his family going bankrupt and him dying in an alley on a rainy night. A shiver went down his spine. No, I refused to accept that ending. His goal was clear. Play the doormat without pissing Isolde off so much she kills him off ahead of schedule. I'd stick to the script until the breakup scene, take the massive settlement my family would offer, and then buy a small island somewhere far, far away from the main characters. Liam, her voice, cool and crisp, snapped him out of his thoughts. He immediately plastered a servile, eager to please smile on his face. Isolde, what is it? Is the food not to your liking? I'll have the manager replace it right away. He started to stand, his posture a study in utter subservience. Keep acting. Just keep acting. If I suck up fast enough, death can't catch me. Seriously though, this steak is getting cold. Why isn't she eating? Is she plotting my demise so she can clear the way for the hero? His inner monologue was running wild, but his expression was one of pure, unadulterated devotion. Isolde's hand, holding a silver fork, froze midair. She lifted her head, and for the first time, her stunning, almond-shaped eyes held an emotion other than icy indifference, confusion. She glanced at him, then looked back down at her plate as if nothing had happened. That's not right. According to the book, she should be telling me to shut up, maybe throwing in a let's just eat to show how aloof she is. He carefully sat back down, picking up the bowl of truffle and mushroom consommé he'd ordered for her. Isolde, he said in his softest voice, you must be exhausted from work. You've lost weight. I had the chef make this for you. Please, have some while it's hot. You need to take care of yourself. Here, drink this liquid devotion, you beautiful monster. God, I want to dump a salt shaker in it. Oh well, all the world is a stage. Once we break up, I'm making myself soup every day, and I'll use as much damn salt as I want. He pushed the bowl a little closer to her, his face a mask of hopeful expectation. Isolde's body went rigid, an almost imperceptible shift. She looked up again, her gaze locking onto his. It was no longer just confusion. It was sharp, analytical, as if she were trying to peer past his skin and into his soul. Her stare was making his hair stand on end. What are you looking at? Never seen a simp this handsome before, or is my acting so over the top she's seen through it? No, that can't be. I'm sticking to the character bio perfectly. Yo, Isolde began, her lips parting slightly. Just then, another voice cut in, perfectly timed and utterly unwelcome. Isolde, there you are. A wave of relief washed over him. He's here. He's finally here. The novel's hero, Dominic Kane, has arrived, complete with his smug smile and main character halo. The plot gods haven't forgotten about me. Quick, start your performance. Humiliate me. Let me be the stepping stone for your epic love story. The newcomer was indeed Dominic Kane. He wore a perfectly tailored suit, a confident smirk playing on his lips, and a look in his eyes that screamed, "The world is my oyster, and you're all just shells." He walked directly to their table, ignoring him completely as he fixed his gaze on Isolde. Isolde, I've been looking all over for you. I didn't expect to find you having dinner with Mr. Archer. The way he said the name was dripping with contempt. According to the plot, Dominic would now demonstrate his superior taste by declaring the restaurant steak subpar. Then he'd order a bottle of 82 Margaux and charm Isolde with a few slick lines, casually sticking him with the bill, making him the fool in front of everyone. I was ready. I'd even practiced the perfect hangdog expression of a man publicly emasculated. "Can I help you, Mr. Kane?" Isolde's voice was as cool as ever, but he could have sworn there was a new, playful edge to it. "Of course. I know Vane Corp is bidding on the East Bay redevelopment project. As it happens, I have some inside information that might be useful to you," Dominic said, oozing self-importance. A classic move. Dangles some barely confidential information to look like a big shot and lure the girl in. In reality, his goal is to get Isolde's bidding price, sell it to her competitor, and watch her fail spectacularly. The guy's a real piece of work. He kept his head down, pretending to be engrossed in cutting his steak, but his ears were on high alert, his inner commentator giving a live play-by-play. Isolde took a slow sip of water. Her eyes drifted from Dominic's confident face and then, to his surprise, landed on him. Her expression, it was like a child who had just discovered a fascinating new toy. "That won't be necessary," Isolde said calmly. "Vane Corp has its own strategy for the bid. We don't need your help." The smile on Dominic's face froze. He froze too, his knife scraping loudly against the plate. What the hell? That's not in the script. She's supposed to be intrigued, and they're supposed to have this sparkling conversation while I fade into the wallpaper. Why does she turn him down? Did my arrival in this world create some kind of butterfly effect? Dominic, clearly taken aback, recovered quickly. "Isolde, don't misunderstand. I just want to help. After all, what can a guy like him do for you besides spend your money?" He finally turned his attack on him. "Come on, let's have it. I'm ready for my close-up." He immediately adopted the look of a man deeply wounded but too cowardly to speak up. "Yes, that's it. Tell her I'm useless, a leech living off my family's name. The more you insult me, the more she'll despise me, and the closer I'll get to freedom. You can do it, Dominic." Isolde set her water glass down with a soft click. She looked at Dominic, the corner of her mouth twitching into what might have been a smirk. "Are you suggesting, Mr. Kane, that you get to pass judgment on my fiancé?" "That's not what I meant. Dominic stammered. "He is my fiancé." Isolde cut him off, her tone leaving no room for argument. "His character is not for outsiders to comment on." Then she turned that unnerving gaze back to him. "Lady, you're breaking character. You're the cold-hearted villainess, not a protective lioness. If you keep this up, how am I ever supposed to get fired from this gig? How am I supposed to take the money and run? Please, for the love of God, stick to the script." Dominic's face was a kaleidoscope of ugly colors. He had clearly never been shut down by Isolde like this before. But he was the hero, after all. With a hero's resilience, he found a new angle. "Fine, I won't talk about him. Let's change the subject. The wine list here is excellent. To apologize, this is my treat. Waiter, a bottle of the 82 Margaux." There it is, the classic power play. Here we go, same tired move. Order the most expensive thing on the menu to look like a big shot. Then later he'll claim he forgot his wallet or just slip out, leaving me to clean up his mess. Man, that main character plot armor must be nice, thicker than a concrete wall. He was already applauding internally, ready to whip out his black card and pay for Dominic's performance. But Isolde's next words made him drop his silverware. She turned to the approaching waiter and said, "How generous of Mr. Kane. Since he's offering, please put his bottle of wine on his tab. Oh, and our dinner as well. Add it all to Mr. Kane's bill. The waiter paused, glancing from Dominic to Isolde, before his professional training kicked in. Of course, Miss Vane. Dominic's face turned a shade of green he'd only ever seen on broccoli. He was petrified and trying desperately not to laugh. Holy crap, you can do that? Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I give that move a 10 out of 10. Just looking at Dominic's constipated face is worth the price of admission. It's even better because I'm not the one paying. Isolde's gaze drifted his way again, a flicker of amusement in her eyes. Dominic was trapped. The unopened bottle of Margot was now a ticking time bomb. He wanted to look like a magnate in front of the beautiful CEO, but instead he'd been played for a fool. Isolde, what is the meaning of this? Dominic's voice was tight. Meaning? Isolde picked up her knife and fork, elegantly slicing a piece of steak. You said it was your treat. I'm simply allowing you to be a man of your word. Dominic's chest heaved. He shot a glare at him, the designated soft target for his rage. He immediately flinched, playing the part of the terrified wimp. Why are you glaring at me? I didn't stick you with the bill. Glare at her, you coward. All bark and no bite. Perhaps his apparent weakness soothed his bruised ego. Dominic's expression softened slightly. He forced a smile. Fine, the meal is on me, Isolde. We'll talk another time. He turned and stormed toward the front desk, his retreat anything but graceful. The restaurant was quiet again. Watching Dominic's retreating back, he was ecstatic. This was way better than the book. Find something funny. Isolde's voice cut through his glee. He quickly wiped the grin off his face, replacing it with a look of concern. Isolde, please don't be upset. This is all my fault. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. Upset? I'm thrilled. But you, on the other hand, are acting very strangely. Are you a transmigrated too? No, the book never mentioned that. Maybe I broke something when I landed in this world. Did I trigger a secret route? Isolde didn't reply, just watched him with that same unnerving intensity, as if studying a priceless, inscrutable artifact. The rest of the meal passed in a bizarre silence. On the ride home, the chauffeur drove while Isolde and he sat in the back, a veritable ocean of space between them. The silence in the car was deafening. He had to do something to get the plot back on track. Steeling himself, he scooted closer to her, adopting his most pathetic demeanor. Isolde, about tonight. I'm sorry I embarrassed you. You must hate me even more now, don't you? Say yes. Say you hate me, that you can't stand the sight of me. Then we can finally talk about breaking off this engagement. Come on, don't hold back. Isolde turned her head. The neon lights of the city flickered across her face. She just looked at him for a full 10 seconds. He could feel his heart pounding. Give me a reaction, lady. You're making me nervous. If you keep staring at me like that, I'm just going to have to keep acting. Finally, she spoke, her voice so soft it was almost a whisper, but it hit him like a thunderclap. Liam, what if I told you I don't hate you? His head snapped up, and he met her impossibly deep eyes. In that instant, his mind went completely blank. What? Hello, is tech support there? My system seems to be bugging out. This NPC's character file is corrupted. Requesting a reboot. Requesting a save file reload. Houston, do you copy? Back at Isolde's penthouse, he locked himself in his room, tossing and turning all night. What was going on with her? Not only had she deviated from the script, but she had defended him, and she'd said she didn't hate him. This made no sense. Had she discovered his charming inner personality? Don't make me laugh. My inner personality was a mix of sarcasm and bad jokes. There was nothing charming about it. After a sleepless night, he came to one conclusion. Isolde Vane, the villainess of this novel, was broken. She'd been given the wrong script. The next morning, sporting 2 giant dark circles under his eyes, he went downstairs to continue his duties as the resident sycophant. Today's, deliver a specially prepared lunch to her at the office, get ruthlessly thrown out, and thereby broadcast to her entire company just how little she cared for her fiancé. It was a crucial scene in his humiliation arc. He had to nail it. He grabbed the elaborate lunchbox prepared by the housekeeper, hopped in his obnoxiously red sports car, and drove to the headquarters of Vane Corporation. As he walked into the lobby, the receptionist gave him that familiar look, a cocktail of pity and contempt. Mr. Archer, you're here again? Ms. Vane is in a meeting. I don't think she has time to see you. That's all right. I'll wait, he said, putting on his best, My love for her is eternal, and I will wait for an eternity expression. That's the stuff? Go on. Tell your boss that her personal barnacle has attached himself to the lobby again. I won't consider this a success unless I'm physically removed from the premises. He sat on a lobby couch, clutching the lunchbox like a man waiting for his wife to come home from the war. The minutes ticked by. He waited and waited and waited some more. But the expected call for security to escort Mr. Archer out never came. This was wrong. What's going on? Usually, I get the boot within 10 minutes. It's been almost an hour. Did she forget I was here? Or is she planning something big? A humiliation so epic it'll be my magnum opus? As he was lost in thought, Isolde's executive assistant, a sharp woman in gold-rimmed glasses named Mira, came clacking towards him in high heels. Mr. Arquette, thank you for your patience, she offered a polite, professional smile. Ms. Vane's meeting just ended. She said you can go up. Me up? As into her office? Are you sure you don't mean out? Has hell frozen over? He stood up mechanically and followed Mira to the private elevator. As it ascended, his anxiety climbed with it. This has to be a trap. She's probably got 100 assassins hiding in her office. The second I walk in, they'll turn me into mincemeat. The elevator doors opened. They walked down a quiet hall, and Mira pushed open the door to the CEO's office. Ms. Vane, Mr. Archer is here. He took a deep breath, braced for death, and walked inside. The office was huge, decorated in a minimalist, cool-tone style that matched Isolde perfectly. She was sitting behind a massive desk, reading a document. She looked up as he entered. You're here, she said, her tone neutral. Why yes, Isolde. I was worried you'd forget to eat, so I brought you lunch. He scurried forward with the lunchbox, his face a perfect picture of fawning devotion. It's an ambush. This is definitely an ambush. Look at that fountain pen on her desk. The nib is gleaming. Is she going to stab me in the throat with it? Isolde's gaze lingered on his face for a moment before dropping to the lunchbox. Put it over there, she said, gesturing to the seating area. He did as he was told, then stood there awkwardly awaiting his sentence. Sit, she commanded. He perched rigidly on the edge of the sofa. What is she planning? Just get it over with. The suspense is killing me. This isn't very sporting of her. Isolde stood and walked over to him. She opened the lunchbox herself. It was a 4-course meal, perfectly presented. She picked up a fork, took a bite of the sweet and sour pork, and chewed thoughtfully. It's good, she commented. His brain stalled again. She ate it. She actually ate the food I brought. In the novel, anything I gave her went straight into the trash. He started fumbling for words. Yes, aren't you busy? He finally managed, the lamest question imaginable. I was, Isolde said, taking a bite of vegetables. But now I have something more important to attend to. More important? What? Her collaboration with Dominic. Yes, that must be it. In the book, he comes to her today with a revolutionary business proposal. It's actually a huge trap, designed to leak Vane Corp's core tech. His stomach dropped, but he kept his face neutral. I have to warn her. As much as I want out of this engagement, I can't just watch her get destroyed. If she goes bankrupt, my family is next on Dominic's hit list. But how do I warn her? If I just tell her, she won't believe me. She'll think I have an ulterior motive. He was panicking internally. Just then, Isolde's phone rang. She glanced at the caller ID and put it on speaker. Ms. Vane, a Mr. Dominic Kane is here. He says he has an important project to discuss with you. The receptionist's voice announced. And there he is. Speak of the devil. He's arrived with his Trojan horse. Isolde, please don't be an idiot. If you agree to work with him, I'll cry in the hallway outside your office. He stared at her, his heart hammering against his ribs. Isolde put down her fork, dabbed her mouth with a napkin, and then spoke into the phone in a tone he'd never heard from her before, languid, amused, and utterly dismissive. She said one word. No, the word was light, but it landed like a punch, both on the receptionist and on him. There was a pause on the other end. Understood, Ms. Vane. I'll send him away. The line went dead. The office was silent. He gaped at Isolde, feeling his entire understanding of this world shattering and reforming into something bizarre. No, just no. The project that was supposed to cripple her company? She'd just turn it down like a telemarketer? This woman, is she cheating? Does she know the plot too? No, if she knew the plot, the first person she'd get rid of is me. His inner monologue was screaming. Isolde picked up her fork and took another bite, as if she had just declined a dinner invitation, not altered the course of her own destiny. "Why are you staring at me?" she asked, looking up. "Aren't you going to eat?" He then noticed she had pushed an identical lunchbox in front of him. "I'm not hungry. How could I eat at a time like this? I'm dying of curiosity. Tell me why? Why won't you see Dominic? Where's your love-struck brain? Where's your he hurt me, but I'm sure he had his reasons martyr complex? Did you eat it for lunch, you?" "Liam," Isolde said, putting down her fork and looking at him seriously. "You don't like Dominic Kane, do you?" He froze. What kind of question was that? Of course I don't like him. I want him to spontaneously combust. He's the hypocrite who is supposed to build his empire on our corpses. Do I look like I have Stockholm Syndrome? Out loud, he stammered, "I wouldn't dare. Mr. Kane is a very impressive man." "I see." Isolde nodded, then delivered a line that nearly made him slide off the couch. "Well, if you don't like him, then I won't see him." "Me?" I sat there, mouth open like a fish out of water. Wait, hold on. That logic, because I don't like him, you won't see him? What kind of insane reasoning is that? Lady, I'm your doormat. Since when does my opinion matter? What happened to your Ice Queen persona, your cold, hard business sense? All of it just thrown out the window because of my personal preference." Isolde seemed pleased by his shock. That hint of a smile on her lips grew more pronounced. She picked up her soup, took a sip, and added casually, "My fiancé doesn't approve." "I'm sorry. Is that a good enough reason?" Good enough? It was more than enough. Enough to make me question my own sanity. Looking at her, he felt for the first time that this story was spiraling completely out of his control. This was not the Isolde from the book. Her character hadn't just broken. She seemed to be thoroughly enjoying the chaos. Downstairs in the lobby of Vane Corp, Dominic Kane adjusted his tie, a confident smile on his face. He was certain no one in business could refuse the offer he was about to make. Isolde's initial refusal was just a game, playing hard to get. He waited. The receptionist approached him, her smile apologetic. "Mr. Kane, I'm so sorry, but Ms. Vane says she is unavailable today." Dominic's smile faltered. "Unavailable? Is she in an important meeting?" The receptionist looked uncomfortable. She hesitated, then decided to tell the truth. After all, it was the message relayed directly by the executive assistant. "No, sir," she said. "She's having lunch with her fiancé." Boom. Dominic felt a small explosion go off in his head. Having lunch with that loser? She was turning down a multi-million-dollar opportunity to have lunch with that useless simp? Had Isolde Vane lost her mind? Dominic's face turned to stone. He clenched his fists so tightly his nails dug into his palms. He could not accept that he had just lost to Liam Archer. It was impossible. After the lunch with my fiancé incident, Isolde's behavior toward him entered a bizarre new phase. She started bringing him to work. Her official reason: "As my fiancé, you should familiarize yourself with the company." So he, a man whose only ambition was to coast until the breakup, was now forced to show up at Vane Corp every day in a suit and tie, sitting at his own personal desk that was nearly as large as hers. His job description was simple: sit there and space out while Isolde, conquering mountains of paperwork, would listen to his internal monologue. Day 1. God, I'm bored. This chair is a menace to my spine. Isolde's a total workaholic. What's so interesting about these files? It's not like they're going to sprout flowers. Without looking up, Isolde pressed a button on her intercom. "Mira, please order the most ergonomic cushion you can find and have it sent to my office." "Me?" Question mark. Day 2. What for lunch? "I'm dying for a bowl of that spicy ramen from the place downtown. The one with extra pork belly. But no, I'm stuck with the Ice Queen. It'll probably be another kale salad. My life is a wasteland of flavorless greens." At noon, Mira knocked and entered, carrying a large takeout bag. "Ms. Vane, your spicy ramen." He stared at the bowl, steaming and fragrant, his eyes wide. Isolde gestured to his desk. I told him to add extra pork belly for him. Me. Day 3. I was dragged into a board meeting. A dozen senior executives were arguing about a development proposal. Why are they yelling? Plan A is too conservative. Plan B is too reckless. Any idiot can see you combine the two. Take the creative concept from B and execute it with the stable framework of A. And while you're at it, buy the abandoned warehouse next to the lot. The city is going to rezone that whole block for a new school district in 6 months. Bunch of amateurs. He was internally delivering his TED Talk on corporate strategy out of sheer boredom. At the head of the table, Isolde, who had been silent the entire time, suddenly spoke. We'll combine Plan A and Plan B. She paused, her gaze sweeping over the room. And Mira, notify our acquisitions team. I want the number 3 warehouse adjacent to the project site purchased immediately. The room fell silent. Every executive stared at Isolde as if she were a sorceress, then turned to stare at him as if he were her all-powerful oracle. They thought the idea had come from him. Me? I ducked my head, wishing the floor would swallow me whole. Lady, what are you doing? This is sabotage. You're setting me up. I'm a professional do-nothing, and you're trying to brand me as a business prodigy. When they find out I'm a fraud, I'm dead. After the meeting, Isolde walked beside him. What are you afraid of? She murmured, her voice low enough for only him to hear. As long as I'm here, you won't be exposed. He stopped in his tracks. Her warm breath ghosted over his ear. He glanced at her profile. In the bright light of the hallway, her skin was flawless. A ridiculous, impossible thought popped into his head. Is she trying to hit on me? No, that's crazy. She's the villainess. I'm the disposable side character. We're natural enemies. Romance is out of the question. But she's been so good to me. She grants my every unspoken wish, helps me win without lifting a finger. Isn't this the plot of every romance novel, just with the genders flipped? Oh my God, she's trying to seduce me. This woman is into my weird, rambling soul. A cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Beside him, Isolde was struggling to suppress a smile. To celebrate his new and entirely fabricated status as a business prodigy, Isolde decided to take him to a major charity gala. In the original novel, this event was a key turning point. Dominic would be there, donating an ancient painting he had discovered, earning praise, and cementing his reputation as a brilliant young man with a discerning eye. He, meanwhile, would foolishly bid on a rigged antique vase which would shatter in his hands, making him the laughingstock of New York's high society. It was the most humiliating chapter of his short, pathetic literary life. He tried to get out of it, but Isolde shut down all his excuses with a single sentence. The owner of that ramen shop you like is being honored tonight. He, a man of principle and a slave to his stomach, shamefully surrendered. That evening, he arrived at the gala in a custom-tailored tuxedo with Isolde on his arm. She was breathtaking in a black evening gown, her presence instantly commanding the room's attention. He was her handsome, useless arm candy. Eyes followed them, filled with envy and curiosity. What are you all staring at? Never seen a trophy husband before? Let me tell you, it's not an easy job. You have to be good-looking and a good actor. I happen to be a professional. He stared straight ahead, his inner drama in full swing. Isolde's grip on his arm tightened, as if to say, tone it down. They had just found their table when Dominic appeared, a glass of champagne in hand. He hadn't been doing well lately. His project was rejected, his funding was drying up, but Dominic appeared, a glass of champagne in hand. He hadn't been doing well lately. His project was rejected, his funding was drying up, but he still wore the mask of the unflappable hero. Isolde, you came? His eyes skipped over Liam. She gave a curt nod, offering nothing more. Undeterred, Dominic pressed on. I heard Vane Corp secured the East Bay project under Liam's guidance. Congratulations. He put a snide emphasis on the word guidance. A few onlookers drifted closer, eager for a show. Liam kept his head down, playing his part. Oh look, he's starting trouble. I can smell the sour grapes from here. Don't worry, buddy, your time is coming. You think that stupid painting is going to make you a star? The artist is about to be exposed as one of the biggest frauds in history. All his works are fakes, produced in a workshop. You're about to become the proud owner of a very expensive piece of garbage. Liam was practically giddy with schadenfreude. Isolde swirled her champagne, ignoring him. Dominic, seeing he was getting nowhere with her, turned to Liam. Were you bidding on tonight, Liam? Make sure you choose carefully. We wouldn't want to repeat last time, would we? He was referring to an incident from last month where he'd tricked Liam into buying a forgery. That part was from the original script. Liam was about to blush and stammer on cue, but Isolde suddenly smiled. Her smile was like the first thaw of spring, so stunning it seemed to sweeten the very air around them. You're too kind, Mr. Kane, she said. We should be thanking you for last time. If you hadn't offered your expert opinion, How else would my Liam have learned that your judgment isn't all it's cracked up to be? She turned to Liam, her eyes full of adoration. But it doesn't matter. It's only money. As long as my Liam is happy, that's all that matters. Her words were a masterclass in passive aggression. She'd simultaneously called out Dominic's bad intentions and painted Liam as a rich, dotingly loved fool who could afford to be swindled. Dominic's face turned the color of thunderclouds. Liam was floored. Damn, talk about having my back. Sign me up for a lifetime supply of this. Wait, lady, you're destroying my character. How am I supposed to be a convincing deadbeat with you running interference like this? The corners of Isolde's mouth crept upwards again. The charity auction began. Liam sat beside Isolde, half asleep. So boring. Were they getting to the vase? I need to figure out a way to stop Isolde from wasting money on it without blowing my clueless idiot cover. This is tricky. Finally, the auctioneer announced Dominic's donation, the Twilight Ridge, supposedly a masterpiece from a long-dead master. Dominic himself took the stage, speaking eloquently about the painting's brushwork, its historical significance, its profound beauty. The crowd ate it up. Keep talking, pal. Anyone would think you're a used car salesman, not an art connoisseur. A masterpiece? More like a mass-produced piece of crap. Under Dominic's salesmanship, the bidding soared. Mr. Kane is so impressive. That piece would be worth double at Christie's. Dominic practically floated back to his seat on a cloud of compliments. Isolde watched the spectacle with the detached air of someone watching a particularly silly play. Liam nudged her with his elbow. Hey, snap out of it. We can't bid on this, but we can't let him have all the glory either. See that small, drab seascape in a corner? The one signed anonymous? That's the real prize. The artist was a reclusive genius. Fewer than 3 of his paintings are known to exist. If we buy it now, its value will skyrocket by 100-fold next month when his biography is published. Liam tried to direct her gaze with his eyes. Isolde followed his line of sight and raised a delicate eyebrow. The Twilight Ridge sold for $8 million to a businessman trying to curry favor with Dominic. Dominic shot Liam a triumphant, mocking glance. Liam ignored him. Next up was his destiny, the cursed vase. The auctioneer launched into his spiel. Bidding started at $500,000. Here it comes, my personal pillar of shame. The vase has a micro-fracture. The slightest touch will make it disintegrate, and Dominic is about to push me right into the trap. Sure enough, Dominic leaned over. Liam, that vase would look wonderful in your penthouse. Why not bid? I'm sure Isolde would love it. Liam was about to feign interest, but Isolde raised her paddle first. $1 million. A gasp went through the room. Me? Question mark. What are you doing? Are you insane? I told you to avoid the landmine, not jump on it. Do you have too much money? Dominic was stunned, but he recovered, a sinister glee in his eyes. He raised his own paddle. $1.2 million. He was driving up the price, trying to make her waste even more. Don't take the bait. Let him have it. Let him buy his own stupid trap. Liam was screaming in his head. Isolde, as if she couldn't hear him, calmly raised her paddle again. $2 million. Dominic gritted his teeth. 2.2. $3 million, she said without even blinking. The price escalated. Everyone knew this was a duel between Isolde Vane and Dominic Kane. Sweat beaded on Dominic's forehead. He'd only wanted to humiliate her, not spend millions on a worthless piece of junk. Stop, you mad woman. I could buy so much ramen with $3 million. Isolde turned to Dominic, a challenging smirk on her face. Not bidding, Mr. Kane? Goaded by her and the murmuring crowd, Dominic lost his head. $5 million, he roared. It was every last cent of his liquid capital. He was betting she would bid again. But Isolde just smiled and lowered her paddle. If Mr. Kane desires it so much, I wouldn't dream of standing in his way. The vase is yours. Dominic froze. He was left standing there, paddle in the air, the shocked focus of the entire room. He had just spent $5 million on a broken vase he had intended for his rival. And Isolde, when no one was looking, quietly raised her paddle and bought the anonymous seascape in the corner for its opening price of $10,000. As the gala ended, Isolde took Liam's arm and swept past a pale, trembling Dominic Kane. Let's go, she said. We're going home. Watching her, Liam had only one thought. This woman was a total badass. Dominic Kane did not take his $5 million humiliation well. He was cornered, and he was lashing out. He started making Liam's life a living hell. He and his cronies cornered Liam on the street, trying to bait him into a street race. Race you? Your car sounds like it's terminally constipated. Even if I won, I'd be too embarrassed to post it on Insta. Out of nowhere, two professional drivers hired by Isolde appeared in a pair of Lamborghinis, flanking Liam's car like Secret Service agents. Dominic was left choking on their dust. He found Liam at an apartment store and, with an audience, started screaming that he was a gold-digging freeloader. Damn right I am, and it's delicious. Better than whatever you're eating. I hear your biggest investor is about to pull out. Sucks to be you. The next day, Dominic's primary creditor called in all his loans, giving him 3 days to pay. Liam spent his days in Isolde's office, sipping a Coke and listening to Myra's real-time updates on Dominic's spectacular implosion. It was the best entertainment Liam had had in years. And Isolde would sit across from him, processing reports and listening to his inner glee, a permanent smirk gracing her lips. They had developed a strange, silent partnership. Isolde, Liam said one day, finally putting down the graphic novel he was reading. Yes. Why are you being so nice to me? It was the question that had been eating at him for weeks. Being a kept man is great and all, but I need to know the angle. What if she's after my kidney? I'm still young. Isolde looked up, her gaze clear. She considered it for a moment. Perhaps it's because you're interesting. Me? Interesting? What does that even mean? Is that a euphemism? My running commentary and bad jokes are my primary asset, my core competency. Isolde watched Liam's stunned expression, her mood visibly brightening. She put down her pen, stood, and walked over to his desk. She leaned forward, her hands on either side of him, trapping him in the subtle, clean scent of her perfume. Liam, she said, her voice a low murmur. Have you ever considered that we don't have to break the engagement? Boom. My brain blue-screened for the second time. Not break the engagement? Are you serious? No. My private island. My life of leisure. My financial independence. Professional trophy husband for life was not on my vision board. Although she is ridiculously beautiful and smart and rich, and her personality is, well, it's pretty compatible with mine. Wait, what am I thinking? Get a grip, Liam. You are a man with a dream, and that dream is to do absolutely nothing. You can't give that up for one woman. While Liam was having an existential crisis, his face was a mask of dumbfounded shock. Isolde watched him, the amusement in her eyes about to overflow. I'm kidding, she said, straightening up and returning to her desk. Look at your face. Liam let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. That was close. I knew it. There's no way she's into me. I'm just a fun toy she's not tired of yet. Isolde picked up a file, asking casually, but what if I wasn't kidding? Me? My stupid heart started hammering again. Dominic Kane was at the end of his rope. His company was bankrupt, his reputation was in tatters, and he blamed it all on them. So he resorted to the oldest, dumbest trick in the book, kidnapping. He kidnapped Liam. When Liam woke up, tied to a chair in an abandoned warehouse in Red Hook, he wasn't scared. He knew this scene. This was the hero's big moment from the original novel and his final chapter. According to the script, Dominic would use Liam to blackmail Isolde into signing over her company. Isolde, still secretly in love with him, don't ask me, I didn't write it, would agree. Then Dominic would kill Liam anyway, only to be taken down by the real hero, who would then win the girl and the company. Liam was the footnote. Liam, you're awake. Dominic stepped out of the shadows, a crazed look in his eyes. He was holding a phone, and on the screen was Isolde's frantic face. Caleb, let him go. If you want something, come after me. Her voice was shaking. He laughed. You care about him so much, don't you? If you want him to live, bring the full stock transfer agreement for Vane Corp and come here alone. And don't call the cops, or you'll be planning a funeral. He hung up. He sauntered over to Liam and patted his cheek. Didn't see this coming. Did you, you worthless parasite? Isolde is mine. Vane Corp is mine. And you are about to be erased. Liam looked at him with an expression of pity. You poor, stupid bastard. You still don't get it. You think you're holding my life in your hands? You're holding your own. Isolde hates your guts. She's not bringing you a stock certificate. She's bringing an army. My guess? At least a full platoon of ex-special forces. Also, you didn't even search me. That's amateur kidnapper 101. I have a GPS tracker in my left pocket, a panic button in my right, and a Swiss Army knife in the sole of my shoe. You are so out of your league. Liam's pitying stare seemed to enrage him. He raised a hand to strike Liam. At that exact moment, the massive warehouse doors were kicked open. Dozens of huge men in black suits and sunglasses flooded the space, moving with terrifying efficiency. Leading them was Isolde, dressed in a stylish trench coat that made her look like a spy movie hero. Behind her were Mira, her assistant, and two cameramen from a major news network. Dominic stared, dumbfounded. Liam stared, dumbfounded. Holy crap. Not a platoon. A whole damn special ops unit. And reporters. What is she doing, live streaming a hostile takeover? This is insane. Isolde's eyes scanned the room and locked on Liam. Seeing he was unharmed, the tension in her shoulders eased. She turned her icy gaze on Dominic. Dominic Kane. Kidnapping, extortion, assault. Any guesses where you'll be spending the rest of your life? Dominic's face went white. He grabbed a steel pipe and held it to Liam's throat. Stay back. I'll kill him. An action, Liam thought. Isolde laughed, a sound completely devoid of warmth. Kill him? You think you have a nerve? She started walking toward them. Do you have any idea what he means to me? Dominic swallowed hard. He's just your sycophant, your doormat. My doormat. Isolde's smile widened. Dominic, you still don't get it. You didn't lose because of your strategy or your finances. You lost because from the very beginning you underestimated the wrong person. She stopped right in front of Liam. My rejection of your project, my avoidance of your traps, my success at the auction. How do you think I did it all? Dominic was speechless. The reporters were captivated. And Liam had a sinking feeling in the pit of his stomach. Oh no, you wouldn't. Don't you dare. Have mercy. I have a reputation to maintain. A reputation for being useless. His inner voice was screaming. Isolde reached out and gently touched Liam's face. Then, in front of everyone, in a voice filled with pride and affection, she dropped the bombshell. It was him. All of my decisions, all of my victories, they all came from my fiancé, Liam Archer. He is the true genius behind Vane Corporation. The warehouse was utterly silent. The steel pipe fell from Dominic's hand with a loud clang. The camera flashes were blinding, and Liam, under the spotlight, wished for immediate, sudden death. This wasn't a rescue. This was a public execution. Dominic was arrested. His future was a bleak landscape of lawsuits and prison time. And Liam, the secret genius behind Vane Corp, became an overnight legend in the business world. Liam was escorted back to the penthouse by Isolde's security team. The moment the door closed, he collapsed onto the sofa, a hollowed-out shell of a man. Isolde brought him a glass of water. What's wrong? Aren't you happy? Liam looked at her, his expression tragic. Lady, you just painted a giant target on my back. How am I supposed to function in public now? Everyone thinks I'm some kind of secret billionaire mastermind. But I'm just a guy who wants to retire at 30. What am I going to do when someone asks for business advice? Tell them to try turning it off and on again. Isolde sat down beside him and laughed. What are you afraid of? From now on, if you have a problem, just ask me in your head. I'll answer for you. Me? So I'm a puppet and you're my full-time mental translator? Is that the deal? That's one way to put it, she said. Liam shot upright, staring at her in shock. She admitted it. She finally admitted it. She could hear his thoughts. Liam looked at her as if she were an alien. Isolde finally dropped the act, a mischievous, cataclysmic grin spreading across her face. I can hear you. I've been able to hear you since that first dinner when you were thinking about putting extra salt in my soup. Liam's face turned a deep, burning red. So all of it, his snarky comments, his stupid jokes, his internal dramas, she'd heard it all. His life had been a 24/7 livestream stand-up comedy special, and she was the sole audience member. Why? Liam finally choked out. Didn't you say anything? Because, she leaned in, her eyes sparkling. It was fun. Fun. So my superpower in this world wasn't knowing the plot. It was being so entertaining that I'd turn an Ice Queen CEO into my #1 fan. What has my life become? Liam covered his face with his hands. So, he asked through his fingers, when you said you didn't want to break the engagement, you were serious? Isolde's smile softened into something genuine. She stood, went to her study, and returned with a document, which she handed to Liam. What's this? A prenuptial agreement. Liam's heart sank. Here it is. The fine print. I knew it was too good to be true. Let's see. No cheating, No illegitimate children. And if we divorce, I get nothing, right? With a sense of grim finality, Liam opened the folder. The first clause made him stop breathing. All real estate assets currently held by Party A will be jointly owned with Party B. Party B is entitled to 50% of all profits from Party A's corporate holdings. Party B shall retain absolute personal freedom, including but not limited to the purchase of unlimited quantities of rubber ducks. Liam read on, his shock growing with every line. This wasn't a prenup. This was a declaration of surrender. He flipped to the last page. Isolde's elegant signature was already there. Liam looked up at her, stunned. Why? She sat beside him and took his hand. Her hand was cool but soft. Liam, this isn't a handout. I'm not buying you, she said, her eyes locked on his. You saw the risks I couldn't. You taught me who to trust. You made me laugh in a way I never had before, and I gave you the power to live without fear. We're not a boss and her employee. We're partners. She paused, a faint blush coloring her cheeks. Besides, after listening to your inner monologue for so long, I figured I owed you some royalties. My heart felt like it was being squeezed by a warm hand. Oh no, I think I'm falling in love. Liam heard the thought echo in his own mind, and then he saw Isolde smile, a smile like she had just been given the whole world. The next day, the news of Dominic's arrest and the rumors of a shadow genius at Vanecorp were on the front page of the Global Times. Liam Archer was the city's greatest mystery. Some said he was a reclusive Wall Street titan. Others claimed he was the heir to a secret European dynasty. One particularly creative blog suggested he was an alien. Meanwhile, the legend himself was in his pajamas, cross-legged on the sofa, playing an online game with Isolde. Move. You have to move. The boss is going to kill you. Liam yelled. Isolde fumbled with her controller, her elegant sorceress character taking a beating. Dodge left. 3 steps left. Then use the ice wall. He's charging his ultimate. Shield. Shield now, his inner voice commanded. Isolde executed a flawless dodge, blocked the fatal blow, and unleashed a torrent of spells that vaporized the boss's health bar. We won, she cried, throwing her hands in the air. Liam looked at her, at the pure, childish joy on her face, and he couldn't help but laugh. Sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows, painting golden patterns on the rug. It all felt so surreal, so perfect. All right, Isolde said, putting down her controller and handing Liam a tablet. Look at this. It was an aerial view of a tropical island. Blue water, white sand, green palms. It was paradise. What's this? Our honeymoon spot, she said. I bought the island. See that empty stretch of beach by the dock? Is that enough space for 1,000 of your rubber ducks? Liam looked at her, and that soft spot in his heart melted completely. How does she know me so well? So, Liam, Isolde said, propping her chin on her hand and smiling. Are you going to sign the prenup or not? Liam picked up the pen and, without a second's hesitation, signed his name. Then he closed the folder, looked her dead in the eye, and cleared his throat. A pleasure doing business with you, Ms. Vane. Isolde blinked, then burst out laughing, a beautiful, unrestrained sound. Liam watched her, a wide grin spreading across his own face. Maybe getting dropped into this stupid book wasn't a curse. Maybe it was the luckiest thing that had ever happened to me, because I had found someone who had heard every crazy thought in my head and had fallen in love with my ridiculous soul anyway. He stood up and held out his hand to her. All right, let's try this again. My name is Liam Archer, your future husband. It's a pleasure to meet you, he added silently in his head. Isolde looked up, the sunlight catching in her eyelashes. She placed her hand in his and squeezed it tight. Likewise, she said.